prices on everything are up.
It's to a point where people can't live. This amounted to $100.
I live paycheck to paycheck every week because I'm trying to pay every bill that the world is throwing at me right now.
If you watched the news recently, you would see headlines like stock market hits record high. Yeah, most people these days still feels broke. In fact, last month, US consumer sentiment fell to an all-time low for how confident Americans feel about their finances. So who's lying? The stock market, the economy, or my wallet? Welcome to Cat Finance. Well, the first thing you need to understand is that the economy is not one thing. It's more like a giant scoreboard with a bunch of different scores on it. But right now, there is one part of the economy that has been doing completely crazy with multiple record-breaking highs, and that would be the stock market. So what the heck is going on with the stock market right now? The S&P 500, the Nasdaq, and the Dow Jones Index have all hit the all-time highs. We are currently living in one of the most inflated stock markets in history. Why is that? Well, the main driver of this craziness is AI speculation. AI chip makers and AI-related stocks have been pushing the market higher because they have promised that their AI can automate work, code faster, and make workers more productive. If true, this is highly valuable service, so investors are buying these AI stocks now before all of those future profits fully show up. And clearly, early investors are already winning some big money, like me. But here is the unfortunate truth. Not everyone has benefited from the stock market boom. Only 60% Americans have said to do any sort of investing, and only a few are likely to be investing consistently. Come on guys, we really need to do better. The average American is simply not investing enough to make any meaningful gain in the stock market. This really hits home when you realize that the bottom 50% of earners only owns 1% of the stock market, whereas the top 1% of earners own 50%. So when the stock market hits record highs, the biggest gain usually goes to people who already had the biggest portfolios. But here's the worst part. Millions of Americans are not missing out on the stock market because they are lazy or bad with money. They are missing out because there's simply nothing left to invest. Around 40% of Americans have less than $500 in savings because the cost of simply existing has become so expensive. When people talk about cost of living, they usually think about groceries, rent, and bills, and cat. But recently, fuel and energy has become one of the biggest source of pressure. US gasoline price have increased 45% higher, and energy was 70% higher. And the reason people are suddenly seeing increased costs is because of the Iran war. Here's what happened simply. In February, the US and Iran war. Oil market very scared. Why? Next to Iran, Strait of Hormuz. Strait of Hormuz, tiny sea road. Tiny sea road, very important. Big chunk of world oil traded on tiny sea road. Tiny sea road blocked, oil no move. Oil no move, world panic. World panic, oil price go up. Fuel price go up. Energy bills goes up. Cat wallet empty. And this is just the beginning. Oil does not just affect the fuel pump. It affects the trucks that transport grocery. It affects delivery cost. It affects flights. And it's only a matter of time until companies turn around and say, sorry, our cost went up, so your prices are going up. And it's important now more than ever to start making the correct financial choices. And a really good starting point is someone I read about the other day on Business Insider. Hannah Kennedy is a young remote worker who was lucky enough to move back in with her parents after college. According to this article, she makes around $2,500 a month after tax. But instead of lifestyle inflating from her lower living costs, she directs 40% of her income into a high-yield saving account, puts 20% toward paying student loan, contributes $300 to a Roth IRA, $100 to an emergency fund, and $100 toward investment funds. This isn't becoming a millionaire in 30 days. This is slow compound saving to set up her future. Because in a bad economy, the person who survives is the person with the lowest fixed costs, some emergency saving, and small investment habit they can keep doing for years. That's the key! But do you know what else is the key? Me! Cat Finance! I make money still feel easy, so make sure you subscribe right now!